Hi everyone, it's Miss Maloney here, and your PSHE lesson this week is all about Lockdown 3.0 and what we know so far. So please stick with me as we work through the PowerPoint. There are a couple of tasks that you will need to complete later on. So the day you were due to come back to school after the Christmas holidays, Boris Johnson made a press conference announcing that he was placing the country in its third national lockdown. This was the second lockdown to affect schools. He made this decision based on the information that 1 in 50 people in England had the virus. Figures from the Office for National Statistics also suggested that more than 1 million people in England had COVID between the 27th of December and the 2nd of January. Boris Johnson made a second news conference on Tuesday the 5th of January, saying that he had no choice but to impose the new lockdown, with the number of patients in hospitals 40% higher in the first peak. And if you take a look at the graph on the right-hand side, you can see the first peak there during the first lockdown, and then looking at the end of the graph where we are in January, that peak is higher than what it originally was or has been. Like in the first lockdown, there are rules that we must stick to help minimise the spread of the virus. For example, we're not allowed to leave our homes unless it's for essential medical needs, food shopping, exercise, and for work for those who cannot do so from home. There are also some more rules, so please have a look at the list just to make sure that you are familiar with those. You might have heard people talking about the R number, but what is it and why is it important? So in this context, the letter R stands for reproduction. Reproduction means the action or process of copying something. The R number is a way of rating coronavirus or any disease's ability to spread. It is the number of people that one infected person will pass on a virus to. For example, measles has an R number of 15 in populations without immunity. That means on average, one person will spread measles to 15 others. In this country, we're vaccinated against measles, so it's not a problem. Coronavirus would have a reproduction number of about 3 if no action was taken to stop it spreading. That means if we didn't have to socially distance, if we didn't have to wear face masks, didn't have to sanitize our hands, if we didn't enter a lockdown, if you were to catch coronavirus, it's likely you would pass it on to 3 others. In the UK, the R number has once again risen above 1, which means the coronavirus epidemic is growing once again. At the time of writing this lesson, the latest R estimate for the whole of the UK is between 1.1 and 1.2. But how is R calculated? You can't capture the moment people are infected. Instead, scientists work backwards. They use data such as the number of people dying, admitted to hospital, or testing positive to estimate how easily the virus is spreading. If you take a look at the graph on the right-hand side, you can see the different infection rates for different R numbers. An R number above 1 is considered dangerous because the number of cases increases exponentially. In other words, it snowballs. But if the R number is lower than 1, the disease will eventually stop spreading because not enough new people are being infected to sustain the outbreak. If you have a look at the diagram below, you can see that an R rating of 3 will snowball, but an R rating of 0.5 will eventually die out. When the outbreak of coronavirus first happened, the R number was well above 1 and conditions were ripe for a large outbreak. Successive restrictions brought it down, but it was not until we were in the first full lockdown that it was driven below 1. This is why we're in lockdown once again. And if you have a look at the graph here, this is where the coronavirus pandemic started. And on the 24th of March, we went into full lockdown, and the R number here was driven below 1. So as well as social distancing measures and lockdown, a vaccine is another way to bring down the reproduction number, or R number. The government have recently set the target to immunise all over 70s, the most clinically vulnerable, meaning sick, and frontline health and care workers by mid-February. This is around some 13 million people. This would require around 2 million vaccinations a week. We now know that a coronavirus patient would naturally infect 3 others on average if no other measures were in place. However, if a vaccine could protect 2 of them from infection, then the reproduction number would fall from 3 to 1. The UK has now approved 3 coronavirus vaccines. So your first task today, using the information we have covered so far in the presentation, is to make 10 questions about the coronavirus and lockdown 3.0 you can ask your parent or carer. If you're in school, you might like to ask your teacher. For example, question 1. What does the letter R stand for in the term R number? Now see if you can come up with 9 more questions. Please do ask someone at home the questions, and please let me know how many out of 10 they get right. The next part of this presentation is all about fake news. In times of crisis, misinformation abounds. From students to politicians, many smart people have fallen for dangerous lies spread about the new coronavirus. It is a sad truth that any health crisis will spawn its own pandemic of misinformation. We are currently seeing a fresh inundation of fake news. In many cases, people actually share fake news for fun. We are titillated by gross stories, i.e. it all started with bat soup, and celebrity gossip, for example Ronaldo and the Pope testing positive. But then these stories are shared and therefore reinforced hundreds, thousands, and sometimes millions of times. Over the next 4 slides, there's some recent examples of fake news about the coronavirus. Please take a moment to read through each of the stories and ask yourself the question, do you think that you would be fooled by them? Please copy and paste the web address on this slide into your internet browser and take a moment to watch the video. Your last task today is to copy and paste the web address on this slide into your internet browser and to complete the quiz, Can you spot the signs of fake news? And that therefore completes the lesson today. I hope you have learnt loads. Please do remember to email me the score that your parent or carer got out of 10 on your coronavirus quiz, and please do complete this quiz on this slide also. Thank you, bye.